The reason why I wanted to have metrics and your vision together is because it's got to come true in your mind and on paper before it will ever come true in reality. You've got to map it out, define the win. This is why I didn't say define the goal. What's the win for your 2026? What is the one win that you want for your 2026? I'm going to go ahead and start right with a phenomenal, quick 21-second video. So that way you can hear it straight from Brian Adams, CEO of Integrity. Here we go.
And I just freaking hate to lose. But if you just love winning, it comes easy. To stay up in the middle of the night, work on stuff, stay late, go early when nobody's watching, especially when you're dead broke like I was, I gotta hate losing. If you let that drive you, man, that ship can really go a long way.
All right, folks, there you go. And I'm really excited because there is going to be, when it comes to the business planning, 2026. I hope that you're ready. I hope that you guys can hear me. If you can, go ahead and shoot me a text message really fast. That way I can actually make sure that you guys can hear me loud and clear for this webinar. Bear with me 1 second. Thank you. I think Samantha Butler is going to be shooting a text here in just a moment. Bear with me. Gotcha. Fantastic. That's awesome. All right, guys and girls, lean in because we've got the 2026 business planning workshop. Stick with me till the end. And the reason being is because if you stick to the end, you're going to get your blueprint for exactly how you can lay out. I tried to do it on 1 page, but it's just going to be 2 pages of your business plan. You're going to be able to take the next 2 days, the next 48 hours, and really physically write down how it's going to be possible to win your 2026. Tonight, it's not about setting goals. Our goal is I want you to identify what's been quietly costing you momentum for 2025. And in my opinion, when you think on 2025, how do you feel about 2025? If there was one word that could describe your 2025, what would it be? Maybe potentially eye-opening, breakthrough, exhausting, torturous, backwards. Maybe it was overwhelming. Maybe it was stressful. Maybe it was necessary. Whatever that one word is that you felt in your 2025, I want you to write it down. You look back on your 2025, there was probably a lot that happened to you. Maybe potentially even a divorce. Maybe if you're building an agency, maybe you lost an agent or 2. Whatever that is, and whatever your 2025 was, you always get to choose how you respond and how you're going to really, truly win your 2026. And if you could position your mind on the thoughts of, maybe this is happening for me. If I look back on all the losses that I've had in my career since 2013, and we're talking about some major challenges, major, huge obstacles. The whole key here, I wouldn't replace any of it. I don't regret anything that's happened to me because I believe it has shaped a piece of my identity. And sometimes it probably taught me a lot of lessons. So before we get started, you don't need to build your 2026 plan right now. Just know that. So you're going to be doing that over the next 48 hours. And I want to help you with that. And you can feel free to shoot me a text message as you're pretty much developing that plan as well for you. There's 3 things I want you to understand before we go into our 5-step strategy over the next hour. Number 1, you got to write it down to actually achieve that goal versus those that don't write it down. Number 2, I need you to look at your goals daily. I need you to look at that win daily. I need you to visualize it. I need you to feel it in your bones. I need you to post it everywhere. I need you to tell it and proclaim it to your family, your kids, your spouse, your mother, your mother-in-law, whoever it is. I need you to look at it daily. One thing that helps me is a widget. On your cell phone, if you can put on the front of your screen a screenshot of the win that you're going to have in 2026. That way, every single time you open up your cell phone, bam, it's right there. Make sure that you download Calendly. It's an app. When it comes to your schedule, when it comes to your routine, when it comes to the rhythm of things that should be on your calendar week in and week out, something as simple as a conference call, a Zoom, like a Friday morning, these things that are constant on your schedule. But then also, are we scheduling time with our spouse, our kids, our parents? Those things matter, don't they? Third, monitor your progress. I'm going to show you how to do that inside this 5-step strategy, but I need you to monitor your progress. If you write it down, you look over it, and then you monitor your progress, not monthly, not quarterly, We're talking weekly. If you're a Dan Martell, he says, look at that thing 3 times a day. Your 5-step strategy is a framework for turning what's actually turning a reflection of your 2025, making it so stinking clear what your goal really is for 2026. I'm very intentional about this. I think that the reason why I even called this webinar is because I wanted to give you guys the secrets to what I've done to allow myself, allow this team, allow this agency to have a 15% plus growth over this year. And sometimes it's what we do right now where we're really going to see the result, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. But when we get into a pace, when we get into a rhythm, that's when everything changes. So here goes the note taking. Ready? Here comes the 5-step strategy. Step number 1, look back, audit your past. What does that mean? I'm going to ask you just a few questions. What did I consistently do that produced my best results in 2025? And where did I break that consistency? If you broke the consistency, let me repeat that question. What did I consistently do that produced my best results? Maybe you're a manager. Was it when you were interviewing consistently? Maybe there was a certain type of rhythm to your interview. Maybe you did a two-prong interview where you did a preliminary interview and then you did a interview where it was 30 minutes after the next day. Maybe you met them in person. Maybe you did a shadow ride along. What allowed you to produce your best results and what broke that consistency? You remember when you were winning in 2025? Maybe it was a month. Maybe it was a week that you can remember. Here's another question. As you look back and you audit your 2025, where did I tolerate things I knew were costing me growth? Where did I tolerate things I knew were costing me growth? AKA, what did I allow that trained my future to stay smaller? What? What drained your energy? Moms, dads, shoot, man, you could be in your 20s right now and you're just exhausted. Is it a good exhausted? Is it a negative exhaustion? What drained your energy? As we all know, when it comes to our careers, our energy is our currency. What new skill sets did you acquire? What new skill sets did you allow yourself the mastery of this trade of life insurance or Medicare or PNC? What new skill sets did you develop? Here's a good one. Who did I become over the last 4 years? And is that the version capable of carrying what I say I want next for 2026? When you look back over the past 4 years, I took Patrick Bet-David's class back in 2024, and I'll be telling you guys some stories as well over time here. But I look back at the person that I was 4 years ago. That person is not the person that you see today. Not at all. Matter of fact, the reason why over 2 years ago, when I look back at things, I had to do a drastic gutting of myself, of not a character change, a character forging, a refinement. That if I was going to go to the next level in leadership and my capabilities, there were things I needed to confront with myself. How I was treating people. How did I make this person feel when they got off the phone with me? Maybe it's a client. If you're an agent right now and you're not developing a team, totally cool. How do your clients feel when they're in your presence? What value package do you bring to your seniors, to your clientele? What new connections did you make? That was a big one. I never really thought about connections until I think it was honestly about a year ago. And I don't remember where I heard it from, but I just remember somebody saying, you want to formulate somebody, like you want to be in a room where you don't know anybody, but every single person in that room, they're stronger than you, sharper than you, they make way more money than you, and you are pretty much like the smallest person in that room. You're in the right room. What connections can you make? I remember sitting at a Coach Burt at his mountain lodge. There was about maybe 20 people there. And I think I read it from a book. And it said, when you go into a room, go to the person that is the most, I guess, posturized. That's not a word, but if it was a word, go to the person that looks confident in themselves. They look strong. Their presence demands this magnetism about them. And I remember going into this room and I saw this guy on the left and he was sitting down. He was already ready. jeans and a t-shirt, no joke. And I was like, yeah, that guy, he's got something. There's something about this guy. And I remember I looked at everybody else. Everybody else was talking, and here's this guy all by himself in the front row. And I said, that's the guy. I'm gonna go shake his hand. So I go up, sit next to him. I said, is anybody sitting next to you? He said, no, 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 go ahead and take a seat. I was like, okay, cool, cool. I was like, hey, what's your name? He said, my name's Sean. I said, my name's Ashley Khalif. So nice to meet you. I said, what do you do? Boy, did I feel about this big. He was telling me about how he owned oil fields and oil rigs, and he was working on like his 15th car, and he didn't know if he should pick like this $500,000 car or this one over here. And I was like, my gosh. And then I was talking about his wife, and I said, tell me more about your wife, because I think if it's a female to male dynamic, if you're a female to male dynamic, it's always a good thing to set that straight right out from the beginning. And I love talking about people's spouses. Tell me about your spouse. Tell me about your kids. Tell me about your family. And how his wife just like sold to a huge franchise for her makeup line. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. You never know what connections that you're going to make, but you got to make sure that you're intentional about the rooms that you go into. What rooms did you go into for 2025? What rooms did you go into? 2021. I was very naive, very naive. I was underskilled in seeing the red flags in agents. And that cost me a lot. I lost a whole entire leg, a whole entire company. So I've got 13 agencies. I lost an entire agency because I was so naive and I didn't see the red flags. I gave so much grace. I believed in people so much. That is a weakness of mine, is believing in people and giving so much grace. It took me 2 years to rebuild from the toxicity of this one agent. What happened over the next 2 years? I coasted. I could say that probably my heart became bitter. My heart became calloused. I became unempathetic, like a cup in an ocean, just solving people's problems, but not really doing anything to move forward as far as our company. And our numbers, they stayed steady, but then they started to dip. So did my deposits. And that's when, at the beginning of 2024, after a handful of agents that I love and adore sat at my living room and they said, Ash, we care too much about you. Something's changed in you. And we're going to tell you what it is. And they told me, they were like, dude, we feel like you just don't care. We feel like you don't care about the people. You're unempathetic. You're brash sometimes. And man, I just let them talk for an hour as tears were streaming down my face. And they're like, we could stop, Ashley. And I said, no, don't stop. You tell me everything, because I needed to hear it. Some of you right now, you need a good gut check where somebody can just go to you and tell you everything that they're feeling about maybe how you made them feel, whether it was right or wrong. What mattered is they needed me as their leader to see that I was listening, that I wasn't interrupting them. I didn't have a game plan. I wasn't thinking of something else. I just purely wanted to hear their hearts. You do that because it's the right thing to do. I was humbled in that moment. I remember 2024, I hired a life coach. I only had her for about maybe 8 months. She was amazing. She challenged me to think differently. She created systems that allowed me to think about, well, what kind of A-level quality candidate am I looking for out of somebody? She helped me find that, I think it was like my 11th agency, because of the A-level quality candidate description of what I was looking for. Because there's this way, I can't remember, it was like the reactive something accessibility system in your eyes or your brain, that when you think of something, then that's what your brain is going to be receptive to. And when you have the A-level quality candidate in front of you and you're reading over it, it's only a matter of time before that person comes along your path. Now, are you the right leader that's able to attract that person? Do they have what you want? Behavior is the most honest predictor of your future performance. I'll repeat that. Your past behavior is the most honest predictor of your future performance. If you don't respect your past enough to study it, to analyze it, to see where the patterns, the cycles, the trends, the road stops are, the roadblocks, the wins, the achievements, your future won't respect you enough to show up. And that's the real honest truth about it. If you are an agent, what are you looking at as far as data goes to look in your past to audit it? You're trying to look at your total issued AP. Total issued AP. How many presentations did you have for the year? If you're an agent, total AP, issued AP, how many presentations did you have? Check this out. You ready? Your average AP per sale. Your average AP per sale. Actually, why does that matter? That matters a lot. That matters a lot. Our average AP currently right now on my entire team is $87 a month. We're trying to get that just a little bit up to $90. It's taken us years to go from $67 a month to now what? $20 more a month to 87. Actually, you're trying to push, more AP or, more premium on your clients? No. We're just wording our presentation a little bit differently. That doesn't mean that they can't afford it. No, they absolutely can. What were your deposits? Again, if you're an agent, what were your deposits? How many hours on average did you work in a work week? And you're like, well, dang, I did do 40 hours one week in 2025. Okay, guys, you got to be real with yourself here, okay? If you worked part-time hours, no wonder you got your part-time results. But if you could be honest with yourself, you really did do 40 hours. You really did give it all you got. The speed was there between the presentations, whether you're remote sales or in-person sales. And then any promotions. Did you earn a promotion? Did you earn a promotion? If you're a builder, write this down. You need to know the data for your total issued AP for 2025. How many writing agents for the year? You got for the year, but then also, in my opinion, a better, more incredible KPI, key performance indicator, if you want to call it that. How many writing agents do I have from last month? Give me the person that's physically writing business, because that is so predictable, you have no idea. You want to have a predictable 2026? Write these down. What is your average AP per agent? We just found out, just based on November year-to-date numbers, our AP average in issued AP is 6,335 per writing agent on my team. We had 179 writing agents last month. For the year, we're at 341, which is over, I want to say it was 94 extra agents from the previous year. We've grown. Our agents are sticking. Why? Because they're making money and they're proud of the culture that they have here, that the leaders have built, that the agents have built, that they get to contribute to. What were your deposits? Again, if you're a builder, total issued AP, how many writing agents per the year? Your average AP per agent. What were your deposits? Here's a big one. How many agents hit a promotion with you? How many agents hit a promotion with you? Metrics remove emotion. When you know the metrics, it removes the emotion. I was looking at Tom Brady's stats and his stats, just Tom Brady's stats, football stats. Do you have any idea? We're talking pages upon pages upon pages of all these percentages that I have absolutely no clue what they mean, but there's all these numbers on there. Why is it that football, the NFL, why do they keep stats like that? If you're in high school, they keep stats like that. If you play on a football team, even from the level of a middle school team, they do that. So if a middle school team, that if you're playing football, can have those stats, don't you think it's important for you? Now that we've told you the truth about what your past looks like, the questions that you're going to be answering, we can finally aim, in my opinion, to the future. So that's step one. Look back, audit your past. Step number two, define the win. Map out the metrics of the vision. The reason why I wanted to have metrics and your vision together is because it's got to come true in your mind and on paper before it will ever come true in reality. You've got to map it out. Define the win. This is why I didn't say define the goal. What's the win for your 2026? Change it up a little bit. Sometimes when you just change that word from goal to win, your brain already thinks it's winning. What is the one win that you want for your 2026? You won't accomplish more than what you believe is possible. I'll never sit here and tell you that that's dumb or that's stupid. But the reason why we have analyzed the data from the previous years is because it's a pretty good indicator, not what's possible, but what's necessary to change, so you stop lying to yourself that you're this phenomenal leader, but you have no agents on your team. Or you're this phenomenal agent, but the leads don't work, or this area doesn't work. Stop lying to yourself. This is why we analyze the data. Clear people beat smart people every time. This sentence right here, by December 31st, 2026, I will have blank. By December 31st, 2026, I will have blank. I will have achieved. I'll actually tell you what mine is. How about that? How's that sound? Ready? By December 31st, 2026, I will have become an author of a book entitled Kill Casual Connections, while leading my team to their first victory of issuing 2,100,000 in issue production for 1 month, with having 300 writing agents that average 7,000 AP issued in a month. What's your one word for the year for 2026? If you are just joining and you're thinking to yourself, what in the world is a one word, Ashley? A one word is something that it's not what you think it is. For example, you might say, my one word is discipline. This is what your one word will do. It will challenge you to be ridiculously disciplined. It's going to test you in ways that you never thought, or it would probably get you down to your knees to be so stinking disciplined. It will break you, that one word. When God said to Isaiah, he said, whom shall I send? Isaiah said, here am I, send me. That just gives me like shivers just thinking about it, just goosebumps. The person that's broken, the person that's completely unqualified, but yet they're willing to stand up in the face of adversity, in the face of all of their challenges. Maybe it's a divorce, maybe you're a single mom, and you're exhausted, but you can stand in the face of all that and stand up and say, here am I, send me, strong. What's your campaign? Again, we talked about your one word. We talked about your win for 2026. Again, this is all in step number 2. What's your campaign though? What's your slogan for 2026? Mine is March to 2 million. Here goes step number 3. So set the pace. That's step number 3 in winning your year for 2026. Set the pace. You got to have a rhythm and you got to make sure that you have a routine. I believe that you got to break this down when you're setting the pace. And I've studied many people, the Dan Martells, the Patrick McDavids. There's this other gentleman, I can't even remember his name, but he's like a best-selling author. I love quarterly quests. Let me repeat that. Have quarterly quests. And this will be on your business plan where you'll be able to see Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. What do I need to make those metrics happen in quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4? Like I said, I've already laid out my entire plan. My 2026 annual AP target is 19.5 million for the year. December 2026 run rate is 2.1 million, having a 40% growth over the previous year. Agent count goal by the last month of the year in December of this year. 2026, 300 writing agents. Productivity standard, 7,000 AP per agent per month. Here's my quarter 1 quarterly quests. Quarter 1, 1.15 million average monthly in issued AP with 165 writing agents per month in quarter 1. So I'm going to measure that. I'm going to look at that. Quarter 2, 1.45 million average monthly AP. Now we're increasing it a little bit, 207 writing agents. Quarter 3, 1.75 million average monthly AP, issued AP. We're increasing the writing agents to 250. Time is so valuable. Who do you spend it with? What energies are you giving out? Here's another thing when it comes to quarterly quests. Now that you understand your Q1 metrics, you have a weekly reset. I would say Sunday night. You should analyze the data, reflect on what happened. For example, this was Christmas week this past week. It was dreadful as far as production goes, but that's okay. Everybody had a great time on vacation. Weekly reset. Marketing. What is marketing? Your marketing budget should be about 20% of the revenue that's coming in. This includes purchase leads, digital ads, live transfers, if you're in remote sales, aged leads, Facebook, Google ad spend, maybe a social media editor. Because if all you're doing right now as an agent is spending money on leads and maybe buying some shirts for you, how's that going to make you grow as an agent? Let's have a little bit bigger marketing budget, guys. Now we can actually identify it. The other part of your chief operating system, staffing. And you might say to yourself, I'm just an agent. I'm not a builder, so I don't need any staff. I don't need an assistant. Okay, I would beg to differ. How many thank you cards have you written the past week, the past month, the past year for all the clients that you've had? How many? Okay, how about Christmas cards? How about anniversary cards? How many phone calls did you make just to say hello to them, that you were thinking about them? Then you need a virtual assistant. You need somebody to help you. You need a staff, because this role is going to increase your revenue. It's going to increase big time the retention of your clients, but then it's also going to do the most important thing, which is what? Leverage your time. So now that you got marketing budget, you got your staffing budget at 20%, your operating expenses. Now this includes software, apps, payroll, office stuff, insurance, non-resident licenses, accounting stuff that you have to pay for your CPA, compliance things, admin tools. I've already said apps. What are some of my most favorite apps? Canva, hands down, is my favorite app. You got Broker 360, CapCut, Captions is a must if you're in this industry. Captions is amazing for social media. Opus Clip. And again, if you're like, what is that? Don't worry. Just shoot me a text, shoot me a message on social media, and I'll give you all of these. Just shoot me a message, okay? But Opus Clip, Calendly, of course. One thing I just started researching that a lot of these entrepreneurs in our space have told me about is this thing called Things 3. Supposedly, it's a phenomenal organization app. I've already gotten it. I haven't looked into it yet, but if a lot of people say it's amazing, okay, I'll look into it. What are the systems? And then lastly is reserves, 10%. Ashley, what are you talking about? Reserves. Okay, if you're the main income producer for your company, for your business, for your family, having 10% into reserves supports 3 to 6 months of operating expenses, bills, rent, core software, non-negotiable things. It needs to be a reserve over here. So here comes step number 4, which is unavoidable. And I think a lot of people, and again, this is why I put these as those last twos, because they're so important. And so many people forget these 2 things, these 2 steps. And that's why they miss the target and they miss the aim. It's because they forget to ask the question, what do I need to do to remove the drag? Step number 4 is this: remove the drag, identify the constraint and the obstacles ahead. Now that what are the constraints, especially one? Like, in other words, like, I'm not saying that to minimize that. I'm saying, like, what's the biggest constraint that has dragged you down, beat you down? Because that's your ceiling. If you don't identify the drag, the constraint, that's your ceiling. Don't avoid it. I need you to confront it. Does your culture feel off if you're a team builder, where people just aren't feeding into your team chats? When you ask a question, do they respond? What about a lack of repeatable systems? You have an identity crisis. You have no idea who you are. When was the last time you put yourself into a room that challenged the way you thought, that somebody could actually pour value into you, even though, oh, but I'm a top producer, I'm a top builder, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter anything. How are you going to stretch if you just think you're the best all the time? Get into a room where you're not. And this brings me to my last step. Ready? Step number 5. Draw the line. Draw the line. Your non-negotiable standards. 2025, that was a non-negotiable. If I was on the phone with somebody and it was 3:15 and I was in the car line, I was saying that. I wasn't embarrassed anymore. This is why I'm building this company, so that I can have that quality time with my kids, that I can put the boundaries around my family and around my energy and around my health and my peace of mind versus feeling like I have to do for everybody. That's when I realized I need to make sure I have the systems in place, the right leaders in place to help me help them also have a life where they can live the American dream as well. Identity statements, not rules. So when it comes to your non-negotiables, they're identity statements. Do you have an alignment with core values of your company? I believe that there's 4 things when it comes to drawing the line, buckets, I guess you could say. Like, there's 4 buckets of non-negotiable areas. The first one is identity. Who I believe I am and what I carry inside me. What do I carry? Who do I believe that I am? I believe I'm a business owner. I am a mom. I am a phenomenal wife. I am a daughter. I am a sister. I am the princess of a king. Identity. Who do I believe that I am? Therefore, I will act like that regardless of how I feel. That's the key right there. Regardless of how I feel, this is who I am. How do you show up with your attitude? And what kind of attitude are your non-negotiables? Well, performance. Obviously, this is a big one. What are your performance non-negotiable standards? That's your scoreboard. That's your scoreboard. These are the minimums that I got to have. I've got to do 10 to 15 presentations per week. I've got to do, if I'm a builder, 10 to 15 interviews per week. It's your scoreboard. You see, character determines trust. Attitude determines culture. Performance determines income. But identity determines your ceiling. That's why it's so important. The micro corrections that you make today will absolutely prevent the macro problems from occurring in your business. What's one standard you've been flexible on that needs to become a non-negotiable? Trust me, I've got a few. I do. I definitely do. So this is in closing. I want you to be obsessed with the process, not the result. I know that sounds weird. I know a lot of people hear that, like be obsessed with the process, go for the process, not the result, not the trophy. The reason why is because when you really do look at it and you get the promotion or you get the trophy, anybody will ever tell you that they looked at the process, the becoming part. The people that you're building this for, don't leave them behind. You now have a guide to making your 2026 business plan happen. We're going to be emailing this out. This is a standard-based plan, by the way. It's going to, in my opinion, unveil the things that you're avoiding, that you don't want to confront. And the great part is in the next 48 hours, I would say don't wait until next week. Do it before January 1, because you and I both know if you wait until January 1 to fill out your 2-page business plan, you're going to already feel behind. Go to work tomorrow, sit in your favorite chair, whatever it might be. For me, it's in the living room, and start filling out this business plan that I'm going to email to you. And after you get done and you're in that quiet place, I want you to revise it, look over it, share it with your family, share it with your spouse, share it with your direct manager, because 2026 will not ask how inspired you feel. It will ask you what you're willing to protect, what you're willing to confront, and what you're no longer willing to tolerate. Because we all know this, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Tonight didn't even matter. But if you execute this with discipline, with clarity, with rhythm, your 2026 is going to be undeniable. Know that I believe in you. Shoot me a message. I would love to see your 2026 business plan. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and send the email now for your 2026 business plan. Let's go.